And Jesus became thoroughly grieved at the insensibility of their hearts. Do you remember that verse? He became thoroughly grieved at the insensibility of their hearts. One of the signs of the dangerous or critical times we live in 2 Timothy 3, is that men and women would have no natural affection, fierce, without love of goodness. Those verses alone should tell you, beloved, that God would not torment people in hell. Our God is a God of mercy. If he expects us to be merciful, how on earth, or you could say how in hell, would he torment people forever? We're made in the image and likeness of God. If we're commanded to be merciful, why would he do that? Torment people in hell. Well, an illustration of the hard-heartedness of people is given in John chapter 9. And one person who knew probably more than others about the love of Christ is John, who Jesus was particularly fond of, had affection for. John, who was privileged to live beyond the other apostles to the age of 100 nearly, wasn't he? Revelation. And then after Revelation he wrote his gospel and his letters. So in John chapter 9, now as Jesus was passing along, he saw a man blind from birth. And his disciples asked Jesus, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, so he was born blind? And Jesus answered, neither this man sinned nor his parents, but it was in order to the works of God might be made manifest in his case. We must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the world's light. Now after these things, he spit on the ground and made a clay with saliva, and put his clay upon the man's eyes, and said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is translated sent forth. And so he went off and washed, and came back seeing. Therefore the neighbours and those who formerly used to see he was a beggar began to say, well, this is the man that used to sit and beg, is it not? And some would say, oh, that's not him. Others would say, oh, no, but he looks like him. And the man would say, I am he. Consequently, they began to say to him, how then were your eyes opened? And he answered, the man called Jesus made a clay and smeared it on my eyes, and said to me, go to Siloam and wash. I therefore went and washed and gained sight. At this they said to him, where is that man? He said, I don't know. They led the once blind man himself to the Pharisees. Now incidentally, it was the Sabbath on the day that Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. And this time therefore the Pharisees also took up asking him how he gained sight. And he said to the Pharisees, he put a clay upon my eyes, and I washed and have sight. Therefore some of the Pharisees began to say, this is not a man from God, because he does not observe the Sabbath. And others began to say, well, how can a man that is a sinner perform signs of that sort? So there was a division among them. Hence they said to the blind man, "What do you say about him, seeing that he opened your eyes?" And the man said, "He's a prophet." However, the Jews did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and had gained sight, until they called the parents of the man that gained sight. And they asked him, "Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How then is it he sees at present?" Then in answer his parents said, "We know this is our son, and he was born blind. But how it is he now sees we do not know, or who opened his eyes we do not know. Ask him. He is of age. He must speak for himself." Now his parents said these things because they were in fear of the Jews. For the Jews had already come to an agreement that if anyone confessed him as Christ, he should get expelled from the synagogue. This is why his parents said, "He is of age. Question him." Therefore a second time they called the man that had been blind, and said to him, "Give glory to God. We know that this man is a sinner." In turn he answered, "Whether he is a sinner I do not know. One thing I do know, that whereas I was blind before, I see at present." Therefore they said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I told you already, and yet you did not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Why do you not want to become his disciples? You don't want to become one of his disciples, do you?" I love that bit. At this they reviled him and said, "You are a disciple of that man, but we are disciples of Moses. And we know that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, this Jesus, we don't know where he's from." Now in answer the man said to them, "Well, that's certainly a marvel to me, that you do not know where he's from, and yet he opened my eyes. Now we know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but if anyone is God-fearing and does his will, he listens to this one. From of old it's never been heard that anyone opened the eyes of one born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing at all." In answer they said to him, "You were already altogether born in sins, and yet you're teaching us." And they threw him out. Now Jesus heard that they thrown him out, that's the formerly blind man. And on finding him he said, "Are you putting faith in the Son of Man?" The man answered, "Who is he, sir, that I may put faith in him?" And Jesus said to him, "You have seen him. And besides, he that is speaking with you is that one." Then he said, "I do put faith in him, Lord." And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, "For this judgment I came into the world, that those not seeing might see, and those seeing might become blind." Now those of the Pharisees who were with him heard these things, and they said to him, "We're not blind also, are we?" And Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you say, 'We see.' Your sin remains."